chairman of Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. He's the former chief White House ethics lawyer under President George W. Bush, and he's part of a lawsuit alleging that Donald Trump is illegally making money from foreign governments by way of that very Trump D.C. hotel. So, Richard, thanks for being here. You heard Jonathan's story. There's one part in his story where he talks about a group that's suing Saudi Arabia, 9/11 families, who wound up having their bill paid by the Saudi government just before Donald Trump went to Saudi Arabia. Is that the kind of thing that has led Crew and the group that you're a part of to sue?
Well, yes, as part of it. The president and other United States government officials are prohibited from accepting presents or emoluments. And emoluments means profits or benefits from transactions with foreign governments. And this would include any foreign government picking up the tab at a Trump hotel. It also includes financing that the Trump organization is getting from foreign governments, foreign government-owned banks, and perhaps sovereign wealth funds. And the president refuses to disclose the financing of his business empire and gets very nervous whenever Robert Mueller wants to get anywhere near his financial arrangements, which makes us that much more suspicious that we're onto something here, that there is a significant amount of foreign government money coming in and out of the Trump organization. And that's something that the founders did not want. They said that nobody holding a position of trust with the United States government can accept presents and emoluments, that is, profits or benefits from dealings with a foreign government. And that's what's going on here. And we've asked a federal judge in New York to look at this, find out what the president's getting, interpret the emoluments clause, and then enter an injunction and tell him what he cannot keep.
But before you even get to that, I think what I've never been able to really understand, and Richard, you were, a White House ethics lawyer, you worked in the White House. How did Donald Trump get it approved to be both the landlord and the tenant, essentially, as the head of the United States government? He is the head of government, and he is essentially leasing that hotel from his own government. How is that legal?
I don't think it is. The lease that the Trump organization signed with the GSA said that a United States government official could not share in the profits of the lease, and that's exactly what he is doing. And the GSA said, well, we're just paying the profits to a trust instead of to Trump directly. Well, guess who's the beneficiary of the trust? What they're doing is putting form over substance, and that's exactly the type of thinking that gave rise to Enron and WorldCom. We have all these shell entities. What you got to do is focus on the economic reality. The economic reality is the money is going to the President of the United States. The GSA wanted to prevent that in the lease. It's a violation of the lease terms. We cannot have a situation where there's a building, there's a federal government-owned property, and people are going there, paying a lot of money to the Trump organization for access to Trump administration officials. We just don't do business that way. We don't have the president put his hat out in front of the White House and people put money in it to go into the White House and talk to people. Yeah. We don't do this at the Trump Hotel. It's not acceptable for people to have to pay money to the Trump organization in order to get in there and get access to United States government officials. And this is corruption, and it makes our country look like a corrupt country. It's really destroying our reputation around the world, and I don't understand why President Trump doesn't understand the need to simply get rid of the property. He could have sold the hotel. That's a project he went into before he became president, before he ever thought he'd become president. Why not just sell the hotel and focus on being president? He has one place on Pennsylvania Avenue to take care of, and it's called the White House. And he's there to be president, not an innkeeper.
Yeah. Well said. Richard Painter, former head of the Office of Government Ethics under President Bush. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. And still ahead tonight, the way the White House is now trying to avoid us, the press. Hint, it goes well beyond presidential tweets. Stay with us.